the fuck was that?
That's 6 now. 6 survivors of Raccoon City, all dead from the same thing.
Yeah, that's not good. Victor purchased a building after Umbrella went under.
When Leon S. Kennedy last appeared in the Resident Evil series, it wasn't exactly a success. I'm obviously talking about Resident Evil 6, because while we could argue endlessly about whenever the remakes of the second and fourth games should be considered newer entries or not, this is my video, so I say no. Anyway, he's back after 14 years, and thank God for him, because I have a feeling that the main heroine, Grace Ashcroft, didn't exactly set fans' hearts on fire. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I kind of expected them to ask me to set the brightness, screen resolution and which camera I want for Grace and Leon, but my age? Especially since it supposedly doesn't affect anything in the game? What's the point of that? Anyway, the main heroine Grace is once again the right person in the right place. She works for the FBI, but looks exactly like me when I'm trying to program check attempt at e-health. Just as lost and desperate. Her boss is a ray of sunshine too. The girl is obviously a totally useless bundle of nerves, so he sends her to investigate a corpse at the hotel where her mom was killed 8 years ago right in front of her eyes. She will totally handle it, of course, no problem. That's definitely how she acts right now. Are you freaking retarded? Don't get me wrong, this isn't some women suck section, especially considering that my favorite character in the entire universe is Jill Sandwich.
You were almost a Jill Sandwich.
You're right.
But more like, I don't know, I feel like you have to turn your brain off more and more these days to blindly accept these storylines. So Grace pull-ups at the hotel and I feel like I've stepped into the Matrix. This guy has already walked past me once. This one looks just like my boss. I turn around and there's that mysterious hooded man behind me who has been bullying the Vision for weeks now. Oh wait, he's an African American. YouTube, have mercy.
Who would even think of doing something so disgusting?
In room 204 there's a huge pile of photos of Grace on the bed, so I'm transported back 8 years to remember the death of Grace's mom, who by the way looks like CC Babcock. Grace used to be even less likable than she is now because she was so rotten that she couldn't even pick up the phone.
Mom.
It's right beside you.
Hello?
Miss Ashcroft?
Yes.
Who was it?
Dunno. They asked for Miss Ashcroft and then they hung up on me.
Rude.
What the?
They're coming. Grace, we need to go.
Go where? Mom, what's going on?
Hurry!
Want to know what she hid in there? Someone is after me! Wow, thanks, Mom. Vana. Vidíte to sami. Úžasné. Vana.
Hello?
And when we consider the plan of the main villain, Dr. Victor Gideon, it's also brilliant. He infects a car patrolling in front of the hotel so he will attack Grace and lead her up to him. Okay, but what if he kills her in the process? He wasn't exactly far from doing so. Grace really isn't the most capable girl.
Victor Gideon.
Hard cut, and I'm with the legend Leon, who's also infected with that black crap, and playing as him is obviously going to be even crazier ride than Resident Evil 4 and 6 combined. Just that first part alone when I'm chasing Gideon carrying Grace, and he infects a couple of people.
What's going on? Is she okay?
Oh, she's fine. I'm just taking her home. Let's make this quick.
I was playing just for a few seconds and I already couldn't believe my eyes. And at that moment I didn't even know that in less than half an hour I will be shredding zombies with a chainsaw. In the meantime, I woke up as Grace. I would like to add that this is exactly how I go to donate blood too.
Hey!
Help! Still better jumping animation than... never mind. I won't lie, the nostalgia almost made me jump out of my chair. But I'm back in some really small location, so we are probably still in the tutorial, and there's a suspicious silence.
Infected.
The head nurse is afraid of the light and she is as annoying as that jerk in Amnesia the Bunker. Že by konečně... Ježiš, já to monstrum vidím! Ukaž se! Božu, ty mě chceš asi zabít, že? Dobře, tak já jdu pryč. Já jsem to monstrum viděl! Jej! Ono je skutečný! But do you want to know what probably scared me the most? I'm not kidding, I'm not used to seeing my own reflection in glass in games. But luckily for me, Leon appeared out of nowhere and finally got rid of that stupid bitch. I'll admit it reminded me a bit of Madame Dimitrescu, but she lasted a little longer in the previous game after all. Thank God that bitch is gone. And so, while Leon heads off for a private session with Gideon, the developers finally let me off the leash and remove those tutorial wheels. Playing as Grace is mainly about sneaking and strategizing, especially at the beginning when you have literally zero ammo and fighting even the most ordinary zombies usually quickly turns into game over. And those freaks are suddenly talking.
Where is it?
That reminded me of something. I'll admit, at first I didn't really like it. It felt like pure trial and error, but after a while I finally got into it and have to admit it has a great atmosphere. In any case, you have to accept the fact that while the title says you are playing Resident Evil, the hiding and sneaking don't resemble Resident Evil at all. Every door usually means, oh my god, please don't run into anyone. Though I would appreciate if I could open doors more like a human being instead of just mindlessly bumping into them. And same goes for closing.
Weird. How do people normally get in here?
It didn't take long before I found a blood collector, which I've nicknamed the Sucker, and I finally understood why there's a ton of clickable blood or buckets lying around everywhere. What do I collect it for? Well, to craft items, of course. It did kind of ruin the atmosphere a bit though, because ever since then I've just been staring at the ground looking for places to suck up blood and not looking left or right. I'm also not entirely convinced about how I can make typewriter ink out of blood, but whatever, I'm not going to argue. I unlock more recipes by inspecting samples of infected blood, which is made harder by this minigame, which feels like it's really only there so the developers can force players to do something extra. I really can't help but praise the atmosphere. Just like this gun from Leon, the Requiem revolver, which I practically never have ammo for, but when the need is greatest. When I hit.
Oh, what the fuck?
The famous boss fight in the 7th game forced me to explore the garage very cautiously, yet...
What the fuck? Give me a fucking break.
I storm into Gideon's office where I'd get another pain for the door to freedom with more than a bit of confidence, but imagine my horror when I found the scientist himself there, reviewing the latest materials. Apparently the second phase of something is beginning and Grace is incredibly special and supposedly created by his master. Where is all this heading? To the liberation of Elpis, of course, whatever that means. Is that Elpis? Or maybe Elvis?
Grace! There's no escaping your destiny.
Oh, and I'm also pumping steroids and stabilizers into myself left and right, which means I'm improving my combat skill, though honestly not that you would notice, and my maximum health. To my surprise, I can even make them myself, so you can probably guess that as soon as I find an empty syringe, in most cases I immediately use them for stabilizer, because the maximum health doesn't really interest me when I'm avoiding most of the zombies.
What?
Well, I'll definitely avoid you. My next steps led me to the isolation ward, and at first glance, everything seemed almost beautifully peaceful. Sure, definitely. 100%. But that little machine with the glass pane, which, by the way, is so far the hardest puzzle the game has offered, is in Braille, and completely unexpectedly there's a girl behind a plexiglass in the basement of the first safe house who can't see. So off I go to get her, but as luck would have it, 4 zombies burst through the door of one of the rooms. Now that's what I call efficient use of ammo. But when I finally get the girl out of that crazy zoo and head back, I can't believe my eyes. Suddenly the fat guy is there again, even though I hadn't seen him for several minutes. And by the way, the developers really could have handled this better, because if you are fast enough, you'll catch a brief glimpse of him teleporting around the corner, instead of him actually being there the whole time. No way. The best part is that Grace doesn't really say a single word and is just happy to made it there with Emily. But while the girl timidly fiddles with big buttons, I have to deal with another group of isolated zombies.
You handle this. I'll,
Found this.
Well done, Emily. Thank you.
I quickly realized though that jumping into the underground was premature, since I had the combination for the second save, and just as I was about to load the older one, I got BSOD. The footage from the last hour was of course gone, and instead of just restarting quickly, I spent an hour trying to figure out if there was any way to recover it, since I wanted to use a few of those clips. I have the video, but not the audio, so if anything seemed a little off just now, you know why. But you know what? The save was worth it, because besides the coins, there was a better pistol lying right next to it. And that...
To se vyplatí!
Cut to Leon for a moment, who wakes up in Gideon's interrogation room, and even though he's trying to be as intimidating as possible, Leon is completely unfazed. I'm really starting to realize that these are actually 2 games mixed into one. While the Grace portion could be compared to Resident Evil 7, Village, or, if you squint hard enough, older entries, Leon is clearly in the style of sped up Resident Evil 4, including inventory, weapon upgrades, crafting system and user interface. Sometimes it's downright comical when I find a coin and Leon goes, well, that's not for me, I have no idea. At least I figured out how to open those stack cabinets I'd been constantly wandering around, thinking, what am I missing? My first opponent was that fat guy's brother, and compared to Grace, it was actually a pretty fast process. Or rather, even Grace only needs 3 knife slashes and it's over. I even saw that zombie with the IV drip take him down in 1 hit. A day went by and 1.4 GB patch arrived, and guess what? The most commonly mentioned fix, delete the old version of reframework, was pretty much useless to me, since I don't use it at all. So I went with the classic update your graphics drivers. And while I was at it, I went ahead and downloaded the reframework, since it's apparently so popular. To be fair, it hasn't crashed since, and the mod has gave me a solid FPS boost, so everything went well?
Catch.
But one thing really pissed me off. On my first playthrough, I can't select anything higher than standard difficulty, and the developers had the genius idea to add a piece of crap that deserves at least punch to the face. Those disgusting, huge, yellow, ugly diamonds pointing to the next objective on the map. I spent a good 5 minutes digging through the settings to see if I could turn it off somewhere, but unfortunately, nothing. Why? Why I can't turn off this crap? Anyway, I'm back in Gracie's shoes and there are some huge mines under the asylum. What else? And just to make things harder, besides the zombies, a head nurse is patrolling the area as well. She obviously loves collecting dolls and Emily seemed like a nice addition to her collection. One that even talks. Who wouldn't want one of these? It's a real shame that the head nurse, or for that matter even that kid upstairs, doesn't behave as dynamically as Mr. X from the remake of the second game. It would be much better, more varied. If I didn't know it could be done better, I wouldn't be talking about it, believe me. The technology is obviously there, so they just need to use it.
I got in my mouth.
That's what she said.
Michael, please. Please.
Mwah!
Grace? Grace? Are you okay?
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
But I took him out too late, because there's also a cabinet in the storage room that only Leon could open. Well, whatever. So finally, I have all the glass panes for the doors leading to the local gardens, and to my great shock, there's a working helicopter there, and even with its pilot, who's alive and not trying to give me permanent hickeys on my neck. Still, there's one major catch. The ignition key is somewhere in this cute little house. Which is actually the entrance to the secret lab hidden dozens of meters beneath the gardens. How did they actually fit all this in there, given those mines?
But first I must initiate the protocol. I've done it.
The whole time I was waiting to bump into something or that something else will go wrong, and to my great surprise, absolutely nothing happened.
I've done it.
Instead, Gideon called me, drove in his elevator upstairs and... Come to think of it, how is it even possible that it was upstairs before? Or rather, why didn't it seem suspicious to him that it was suddenly downstairs? Okay, I'll move on. Anyway, I don't have much time to think about what's going to happen next because, as usual, the automatic destruction system has kicked in.
Ada. No.
The self-destruct sequence has been activated. Repeat, the self-destruct sequence has been activated.
So I'm running away fast, spraying the zombies with a special fire extinguisher filled with destructive gas, and there's so much blood everywhere that I felt like I was in a horror version of Titanic. Oh, come on!
No shit! Hold tight, I'm taking off! Get off me! Get the fuck off me!
Meanwhile...
I don't want to nitpick, but it seems to me that it didn't quite fit together.
Hello, gorgeous.
Another short 5-minute segment as Leon, and it never ceases to fascinate me how much more cynical he is than he used to be.
Excuse me.
Just like, oh my god, I'm so sick of this video, guys, what are you trying to do now? First I protect Grace with a sniper rifle, then I follow her to the church, take out the mini-boss, and that's it. Oh, the developers are really teasing me as much as they can. They always give me a quick taste and then it's goodbye for a long time. Nothing against Grace, I really enjoy playing as her, but if it were more balanced, I wouldn't mind. Thanks to this, Grace has a solid lead over Leon, but things aren't looking good at all with Emily. So I'm pretty much ditching her to rest in the side storage room and setting out to find way out on my own. The head nurse tries to help me, but as I said, she's really not a fan of Arthas.
I stand for the light.
So I had to figure out those free switches on my own anyway. By the way, Capcom, why the hell is everything in freeze? Free paints, free batteries, free switches, free parts of the detonator, free buttons, what the hell, Half-Life 3 confirmed?
We're getting out of here. Get out of the fucking way. Come on! Open!
I would make some stupid joke about Czech biathlonist Lucie Charvátová, but unlike me, she's actually accomplished something. Emily, or whatever that's supposed to be. Doesn't she look like that kid from Village? Has left the chat room and a depressed Grace set off straight ahead, just like Prince Velen did in the Czech fairy tale Prince and the Evening Star. which unfortunately led her straight into the arms of Gideon and Wesker. Isn't this supposed to belong to... Oh, sorry, that's a retarded version from Wish named Zeno, who apparently has a pretty loaded revolver.
Man down! Jesus, fuck! Please help me! Holy shit!
Anyway, everyone flies together by helicopter to the ruins of Raccoon City, and Leon has to make it there on his own by car because there wasn't any room left. But hey, he used to do that, right?
Something to do with Elvis.
So the first really big section of playing as Leon begins, and for a moment I almost thought the developers had thrown me into the open world. Debate immediately erupted online about whenever that would be a good idea or not. Personally, I think these are just probably remnants of the original Requiem concept, a cooperative shooter in the style of Left 4 Dead. After a brief interlude with local Shelob, I arrived at the BSAA minicamp, which I guess means I might also run into Chris Redfield somewhere. The empty locations, however, quickly turned into zombie-infested areas, since those jerks usually hide underground. Apparently that famous nuke was supposed to solve all this, which obviously didn't work out in the end, though I would bet Gideon and that wannabe Wesker might have had a hand in it. Okay, I'll try to call him Zeno from now on. It just seems silly to me that these zombies don't really care where we are shooting them, they just stagger a bit and then calmly keep walking. However, just like the merchant in Resident Evil 4, I'm also earning money, or rather points, for killing enemies, and in the special BSAA crate I am upgrading weapons, buying better variants, selling excess items and so on. Honestly, when I first saw plus 500 points pop up in the top right corner, I didn't really know what to make of it, because it felt like some dumb arcade game, whereas in 4 or Village it was handled more realistically. But, well, I'm not saying you can't get used to it, I just mean they could have designed it a little better. Anyway, I don't really have much to say about the next 3 hours. I'm trying to assemble the detonator for the giant gate, so I'm running back and forth throughout the ruined city. The enemies are always the same zombies or, in rare occasions, mutated BSAA soldiers, and I'm just following the linear tunnel. The most interesting part was probably the tilted ruined skyscraper, which reminded me of the action-adventure game I Am Alive.
Tady když jsem natáčel poprvé ten průchod tou demo verzí, tak jsem se neustále snažil skočit tady po té římse tam na tu... jestli to... bych to ukázal trošku lépe. Tady... aha, já nemůžu zaměřit. Tady na tu druhou římsu zkrátka. A pak jsem si asi po nějakých 5 minutách všiml, že tady je žebřík.
Yeah, that's a pretty old playthrough. And there was also a section where we were running across glass. Of course, the glass is only fragile when the story demands it, and it wouldn't be me if... or this part with the mortars, which was made famous by DSP.
Dude, what?
I'm not saying I didn't have trouble with it either and nail it on the first try, but I guess I got through it a lot more intelligently than the American star. Whoa, that's a lot of quotation marks here. When the gate finally exploded, Leon hopped on a motorcycle he found and significantly sped up his journey to Grace. Actually, it reminded me a little bit of that scene from Metal Gear Solid 3, or even better, the cart or truck from Resident Evil 4. I have an endless supply of ammo, I'm shooting at a pack of wolves, and Gideon is chasing me with a rocket launcher. Between us, the whole thing is insanely far-fetched, but from what I've seen of people's reactions online, they are thrilled, so it obviously served its purpose. But when I saw Leon riding alongside a skyscraper up into the sky, I couldn't help but blurt out something like, "What the hell?"
Come on.
Just that constant on-screen prompt saying, "Hey, right-click to aim, left-click to shoot" were incredibly annoying, because the player isn't a total moron, right?
Should've worn a helmet.
This madness is seamlessly followed by the for fans section. We are in the middle of the city, and guess what's still standing there? The former museum, later a famous police station, and now a ruin. But this place is still recognizable. I even heard hints of familiar melodies somewhere in the distance.
It's on you now.
Sherryman RPD.
It's been a while since you've been back there.
Yeah.
My nostalgia skyrocketed at that moment, and I spent a lot more time running around there than was strictly necessary. Sure, you could argue that they pulled the wool over my eyes because they threw me into a familiar location, just wreck it a little, whittle it down to a few of the most famous spots, and bet on the nostalgia of idiots like me. And you know, you are right in a way. But I absolutely love these moments, even in movies, just like when I got to explore the Titanic wreck in Titanic VR and in Titanic Honor and Glory. Especially since the whole thing is riddled with Easter eggs, and I'm only mentioning the ones I remember or understood. Setting aside the music I already mentioned and the most famous locations, you've got Tofu peeking behind the windows, a zombie by the drink machine, a jack in the library is an important item, the entire STARS office, Barry's notes, Jill's beret, Chris's jacket, the unit photo, welcome Leon, photo of Rebecca, which I can drool over because I'm not married.
What the hell? Capcom are a bunch of perverts, man. What a bunch of disgusting freaks.
And also bases from the Mr. Raccoon's figurines. Story-wise, the writers tried as hard as they could to tie this into the events of the second game, to the point where it was sometimes laughable. Remember Emily? Apparently, she was just another clone whose purpose was to perfectly replicate Grace, but it didn't really work out, or rather not at all. Here comes the flashback, set in the glorious year of 1990, my best, 8 years before the events of the second game, at a local orphanage, and... I appreciated I got to revisit this place, but are you trying to tell me that Umbrella was making clones there back then, and 8 years later Irons is just running a normal orphanage? Or did he just temporarily place Sherry there? Or what? Anyway, the main character is a girl named Chloe, and she wakes up right as the orphanage is being overrun by, I'd like to say dolls, but apparently they are those failed clones with surgical scars on their heads, but they don't look like creepy dolls. Chloe makes her way through the orphanage to the underground crypt to enter Umbrella's lab called the Ark, where she finally learns that she's a clone too. Great, this is getting way too far-fetched. These plot twists are too much even for Leon, but Zeno pulls out a Neo-style tactic out of his sleeve and sends...
What the? Mr. Kennedy, I had a feeling you'd make an appearance. Sorry, but I don't have time to spare.
What? I mean, I'm not questioning that they could have made more than one, but still, what?
Have fun. I remember you. Oh, God. I remember that, too.
You can't fight this upgraded version, so all you can do is run away and ideally avoid similar tricks. Sure, I was staring at it like an idiot, but I totally didn't expect it to tear me apart like that. The best part of it all is that as soon as you run back into the hall, Mr. X disappears. I don't know if he got lost or he just got bored of me, but suddenly it's quiet. That doesn't make any sense. But the next step is clear. Let's head to the orphanage.
Fuck me.
I'm not going to beat around the bush. This was tragically primitive because... Okay, I got hit into the face with a car once, but other than that, Mr. X did jack shit, absolutely nothing. A total tragedy, and once again it's clear that a cheap imitation can never measure up to the original.
I'll stop you as many times as I have to.
Plus, I got stopped by a stupid puddle at the orphanage entrance. I naively thought I could explore the area around that little beautiful tree to see if anything was hidden there, and instead I ran into the invisible wall. Thanks a lot. There was even less left of the orphanage than the police station, so I decided to quickly head into the underground tunnels, where I was ambushed by overgrown green vegetation.
Seriously.
12 seconds later.
The most interesting thing about it is its very cheap attacks. And that's pretty much it, because my shotgun dominated.
Stubborn lead, aren't you? Time to burn you up and...
So this is supposed to be the entrance to the famous Umbrellas Arc? Huh, well at least they have these BSA upgrade crates here too. Such a textbook's example of video game logic. Just before the finish line, that means Grace and Zeno, I was ambushed by an elite security unit that even included Hank? Well, at least I assume it's supposed to be Hank. And fighting him reminded me of Krauser from the 4th game, at least the first part of it. I just like to complain that the guy broke the rules first. So you can't blame me for accepting this challenge so quickly.
Grace. This is where we are. The world is under threat. The technology to control another's will already exists, but it's not efficient at infecting others.
Ha! I think I know.
This is as far as we could get.
Leon!
Aren't we fancy?
Oh, wait! You still need me, right?
Come on! Grab tight!
I got you.
We are near the end, so Leon's coughing has obviously reached its peak, and after a few hours I get to play with Grace again.
Here.
I'm going back.
Okay, that sounded a little different than I intended.
Once I go down, there's no getting back up.
This warning totally threw me off, so I went back completely unnecessary to see if I would miss anything. But there's nothing there, the ventilation shaft is empty. Still, I like this section, partially because it's full of flickers. Finally, I had to hide again and play strategically. Though the acid that insta-kills every licker kind of ruined it a bit. In my opinion, it might have been better without it. On the other hand, props to Grace, because I definitely wouldn't have pulled this off in real life. Especially when you consider the situations I managed to get myself into through my own stupidity. But I have to apologize to the developers, because Leon's cough is actively present not only during cutscenes but also while actually playing. Every now and then a massive coughing kicks in and I can't do much during that.
Not done yet.
Of course, it usually happens at the least convenient moment for me.
Yeah. Let's get this over with.
And when Leon is finally out of his breath, I return to Grace, who in the meantime has been watching a video interviews of her mom with Spencer, the man who started all this, and who apparently in his old age realized that his research wasn't exactly full of sunshine and rainbows, and though he could save the whole thing with a good deed, Elpis. Grace basically played a minimal role in all of this. She was a foundling who he handed over to Ashcroft as... I don't really know what. Hope? When we get back to LPs, I'm given a choice of what to actually type into the computer, although unfortunately I can't type whatever I want, only one of 2 pre-selected words, which is a real shame because I remember the code from the head nurse's hand analyst very well and was desperately trying to figure out how I could enter it there. I even wrote it down on a piece of paper. And since they kept bombarding me with the word hope, it was clear to me that I shouldn't destroy LPs but rather release it, because it's a cure for every virus Umbrella has ever managed to create. Okay, but unfortunately there are only 4 doses. Zeno immediately injects the first one into his neck and in the end, it didn't work out so well for him.
And bring his vision to life.
You? You and Spencer were a means to an end.
Yet he outwitted you all.
Spencer defied us and paid the price with his life. He was nothing.
You are nothing but an imitation.
I guess every fan of the old game said this to themselves as well.
It's over, Victor. The Connections is done with you.
Just like we all shouted at Grace to stop stalling and inject the syringe in her hand into Leon. She must be doing this for drama, that's the only explanation I have.
It's staggering.
Leon, it's a cure. Oh, it's working. Leon, it's working, wake up.
It's gonna go! Grab something!
Grace.
Grace!
Time to bury Umbrella's last skeleton.
Final boss is Gideon. The fight has 3 phases, with the third one being basically a bland ripoff of Nemesis from the remastered version of 3. Paradoxically, the first 2 seemed very primitive to me, you just need to dodge well or use Leon's hatchet, which can do even this. I don't know how, but it's incredibly cool, just like this.
This time, you ain't getting back up. Grace.
Leon.
We need to get you out of here. Come on. Let's get you up.
there's no way out, is there?
Well, I'm not gonna leave your side. I'm gonna sit right here with you.
And so, even though Leon and Grace rid the world of another evil scientist, they paid the ultimate price for it. Along with Sherry, who currently has no hope of getting rid of that black crap.
Leon S. Kennedy?
Depends who's asking.
Alpha, you read me, sir? Yeah, they're safe. I got them. Yes, sir. Mr. Kennedy, I have a message from Captain Redfield.
It's over then.
Yeah. Well, this really was our last hope.
Well, let's pray Umbrella hasn't left us any more nasty surprises.
I wish we could have saved Emily.
Grace, I didn't hit any of her vitals.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Definitely. That's such bullshit. Oh, and by the way, do you want to know what happens if I destroy LPs? The developers didn't mess around, it's basically one big depression.
At least I could save you.
I wish I could have saved you, Leon.
One internet user called Resident Evil Requiem a schizophrenic game, and I have to agree. Just as Queen's Breakthrough or Wings Band on the Run are two songs meshed together, this is two games meshed together. But I have to admit, it's a very well done mixture. Though I definitely disagree with the label best game in the series, because in my opinion, playing as both characters is unbalanced and the story inserting into all the titles is a little bit forced. Or that I can't explain some parts any other way than as fun service. But still, I'm living satisfied and currently planning when I'll find time for the Insanity difficulty. And I'm just deeply disappointed that I didn't get any score at the end. That ruined my day.